about the iconography of Blessed Virgin Mary in the Syriac miniatures. You know, in iconography, traditional iconography, Byzantine, it's normal that there are rules, there are structures, there are many things about the iconography of Virgin Mary or others. But in Syriac miniatures, Syriac tradition, we have some characteristic we don't find others in other places. We have to get attention to those characteristics to distinguish between an icon, Syriac one, or only Byzantine one. We have to be careful. The iconography of Virgin Mary, in the Syriac miniatures. I took the main Syriac miniatures. There remain some ones I couldn't get because also it will be too much long as a speech. For that, I did the most important. If we take the Syriac illuminated manuscripts and the studies done by Gilles Leroy, de Gerfagnon, and others, and we try to deduct all the representation of the Virgin Mary, we will find a difference of styles with an iconographic evolution, starting from 6th century with Rabbula Gospels book and ending with the late manuscripts from Kottayam and Mardin. Is okay? Everybody hearing well? Good. With the different themes or composition, we have a kind of unity in characteristics inside each manuscript. We will take every one alone and try to discover its particularities and specific art. Let's start by the manuscript of Rabbula Gospels book, known as Pluter L56 in the Mediterranean Library, Laurentian Library. It is from the 6th century, 586. You heard about this manuscript? Somebody doesn't know anything about? You? Let me say a few words about this manuscript because it's very important. Why its importance? Is the oldest Syriac manuscript with miniatures, with iconography, and also it has some representation unique in Christian art, not only in Syriac art, in Christian, as we'll see later. The Pentecost, for example, is the only one and unique of its style, totally different from all the Pentecostals done by Byzantine, by others later. For example, we have the Mary, Mother of God, we have the crucifixion. Well, they are very different and very special. It is from 586, very old. And its importance is written in Syriac, by Syriac people. Even some scholars, they try to put it in Byzantine's set of miniatures or manuscripts, but it is not. We'll see why. And also, it was written in some place in northern Syria. Till now, we couldn't say exactly where it was in northern Syria, especially in the region of Idlib, where now are all the terrorists sitting there, and we don't know what will happen. But this manuscript from 7th century till 11, we don't know where it was. It was maybe circulating in many hands, many monasteries, but we know that it came with the Maronite to Lebanon. And its first apparition was in Lebanon in Our Lady of Elige, the Patriarchal See, Maronite Patriarchal See. And it was used by the Maronite, and our patriarchs, they added some monograph or autograph, I don't know what we call, on the marginal side of this manuscript. Sometimes they damaged the miniatures, but they left for us some very important historical document for our history as a Syriac church, the Maronite. On this manuscript, you have two calendars. One calendar from 6th century, it looks more like what you call today Syrian Orthodox, but it is Jacobite for us. It looks like Jacobite, and in 11th century we have another calendar on it, more Maronite, but very strange, Maronite, very ecumenical. We mentioned Severus of Antioch and Barsauma and other Syrian Orthodox venerated saints. It stayed with the Maronite till the 17th century, beginning of 18th century, where with some missionaries they stole it or they bought it and took to Europe. It passed from France till Italy in many places, and finally it is now in the Medicean Library in Florence. It is one among the what we call it, the most expensive, if you want, the most important old manuscript that they have in this library. Anyway, it is a Gospels book with lectures according to the calendar, according to the feast of the year. And the most important part of it for us is the miniatures. We have the first Syriac liturgical year illustrated in this book. It's very important. Let's continue. Now you have idea about it and you will see. In the 11th century, wait a moment. In the folio 1b, we have the best sample of a full miniatures of Our Lady, known popularly by us, by Our Lady of Rabbula. This type of standing Virgin with a child inside the sanctuary is among the prototypes of the Virgin Odigiteria, attributed traditionally to St. Luke. Its characteristics are the following. Let's see her first. Now, I have a little study about her face. Here is a copy, a graphic about the face of Our Lady. It is typical. We have to see, as he said, her oval face. Okay, the closed veil around her face and neck. This way, it is closed, not open in the middle. This is typical for Rabbula Virgin Mary's. And also we have this kind of, something under the veil. We call it in Syriac ephodita. It was typical for the ladies in Syria. Till now, if you go to this area, some Muslim ladies wearing the veil, under the veil they have something white around their face, okay, and after they put the veil, it is here, this one. But here it has a cross. Those are typical things for this version. Let's see more. We choose all these characteristics in all the representation of Our Lady in Rabbula miniatures, in the Our Lady, Annunciation, Nativity, Wedding of Cana, Crucifixion, Resurrection, Ascension, and Pentecost. Our Lady, according to Gilles Leroy, under an arch sustained by 4 columns, the Virgin is painted on the background of the parchment, standing on a small golden platform ornamented with red and black precious stones. She is wearing a long golden tunica. You see, here, this is the Virgin Mary. He's standing under an arch. And on this arch is decorated as a shrine or as a what you call a sanctuary. Okay, thank you. And we have many symbols. Also, we have the peacocks. Peacocks, you know, is the peacock is a bird symbolic of India. But it passed from India through Persia until Mesopotamia, and it is the symbol of eternity. Why? Because it's beautiful with his tail, etc., is paradisiac, and nobody eats the meat of this bird. They say he is eternal, he doesn't die, nobody kill him. For that, it is symbol of eternity. They put it in many miniatures, especially on this miniature with Virgin Mary. She is the reign of the paradise. We have to look here on her face. I explained the face. Here you have oval face. You have the veil closed in the middle of her chest, under the neck, and she has the ephodita around her head. She is carrying the child. It seems during the centuries the child was restored a little. For that it's damaged, you can see very well how it is here. She is holding him by a hand and showing him with other hand. It is the type that we call in Byzantine iconography Oligithria. Oligithria means the Virgin guide. She shows us the way of salvation, Jesus. For that they call her Oligithria. She is wearing like a queen, sitting on a stand with decorated precious stones and things like that, because she is the queen. She's the queen. Anyway, let me continue reading. She carries the child on her left arm. The lines of the faces are drawn with much precision and great nobility. The Virgin, with big black eyes, has pinkish cheeks without exaggeration. Okay, we have another one in the Annunciation. You have here the Annunciation. Gabriel is here, and the Virgin the other side. For us, most important is the Virgin. The Virgin is the same, you see, the same veil around her face, the same ephodita, oval face, etc. And of course, she is standing, also blessing the angel who is announcing her, and at the same time, she has a wire in her hand, because it was a tradition that she was among those Jewish virgins in the temple. They are sewing, or what you call, filet, the veil of the temple behind her. The veil of the temple. And the veil of the temple here is closed. They leave it closed, symbol of her virginity. I am explaining about this. We have here the same characteristic of the other miniature, and the Virgin is standing in front of the temple holding a woolen wire coming from a basket and blessing with her right hand. Is she not one of those virgins waving the veil of the temple according to the tradition or to the Jewish tradition? Third one, Nativity. In this miniature, the Virgin is seated like Cleo, the muse of history in Greek mythology, putting her right hand on her chin, thinking about the event of salvation. It is unique also as a nativity. Normally, in Byzantine, in nativity, she is laying down near the child and all the scenery. In Western art, she is kneeling near the child, etc. Here she is sitting near, sitting with her hand on her chin, like is thinking, what will be this child? What is this history of salvation passing by her? And the child is behind on a manager as an altar. or a tomb, because he is born to die for us and be buried, okay, to be crucified. And Joseph is behind. This miniature, the decoration behind is very realistic. It's typical, similar to the manger in the Nativity Basilica in Bethlehem. If you go down, you see the same aspect, except Mary is not there now. Okay? Her face also the same, with the closed veil. We call it in French type of veil tabernacle, closed. And with the ephodita around her face, etc. In the wedding of Cana, the same characteristic also, as before. She is standing near her son, begging him for his first public miracle, as we see. The same characteristic. In the crucifixion and resurrection, she is standing near the cross with Apostle John, the other side, near her, or near the Holy Sepulchre with the same characteristic except the ephodita. Here, no more ephodita, I don't know why. Because it is said that in Rapula Gospels book there are 2-3 hands who painted, not only one painter. They changed the style. She is near the sepulchre. In the Gospels they never tell about Virgin Mary. She was near the sepulchre with the Marys. But only the Diatessaron says that. For that, in the time of 6th century, the Diatessaron was in use. And they use it to say. And for us, it's normal that a lady, when she loses her son, to go to his tomb. It's normal that a mother goes to the tomb of her child for a while every day to cry and pray for him. Okay. In the Ascension, in this miniature also without ephodita, in the orant position, painted in a very naturalistic way. Normally in Byzantine, we never see the breast of Mary. It's hidden. Because way of respect, because in iconography we don't have to distinguish too much between man and woman, etc., etc. Here is very naturalistic as a presentation. She is the orange virgin, a praying virgin, symbol, of course, symbol of the on the catacomb of Rome. She is a symbol of the Christian soul, and also symbol of the church. She is among the 12 apostles in this miniature. She is different than the others. Others are looking to the Jesus ascending to heaven, etc. But she is very different. She is as praying in another. She is in another situation. To the Pentecost, she is standing in the middle. Here we go back to the first presentation with the ephodita and the veil closed around her head. And also the movement of her hands. For you Indian, it's very important. You have a Hindu goddess called Kali. Kali. She is always represented the hands, this position of Mary hands here. It's Shubek. Alors, this position of the hands means she is taking and giving. And Mary took Jesus and gave to us. It's very typical, very symbolic, and it's normal because we have many things I said from India through Persia to Mesopotamia in connection. She is very typical. Now we go to other manuscripts. This one is from 13th century in British Library, British Museum, 754, etc. The Mother of God with colored lines, a yellow aureola. She wears a purple maphorion covering her head. Mary, Mother of God, Mariam Yoldatalo is written. She is a Glycophilusa. In Byzantine iconography, you know, we have the Oligithria, we have Glycophilusa, we have Galactotrefusa, we have many types of Virgin Mary. This one is the type Glycophilusa. Glycophilusa, I don't know how to translate it in English. Glyco, sweet, and Philos, kiss. She is kissing, she is caressing her child. We call it Glycophilusa. Here we are already with the Byzantine type, Byzantine model, but done with a simple way by Syriac artists. We go to another manuscript, Nativity. We have Nativity in the upper level, and we have the baptism of Jesus in the lower level. In the upper level here is the Nativity. We see Mary here near, we should reverse this one, no problem. Near the manger. She is laying down already, but not totally like the Byzantine half. And is divided in two registers. The higher one represents the Nativity of our Lord. The lower, the baptism of the Virgin, is also a Byzantine type, laying down on a purple mattress, wearing her violet maphorion over a blue tunica rolled on her legs. It is bad that this miniature is a little damaged, you see. In another manuscript, they are miniature but very naive, very popular. This one from 12th, 13th century. In this diptycha miniature, we have vertical representation on the right side, Nativity, and in the left side, the adoration of the shepherd and the magi, the kings. In both sides, the Virgin Mary is similar with her closed maphorion without ephodita, big eyes, and primitive or naive drawing and coloring. Here we go to Paris, the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, from 7th, 8th century, originally from Syriac in higher Mesopotamia, upper Mesopotamia. The Virgin, similar to the Rabulensi with many characteristics, is called the Virgin Spring of Light, and is at the origin of the Virgin Platitera in Byzantine iconography later. Here we are on Vatican Syriac 118. In this Rabulian crucifixion, when we say Rabulian crucifixion, it means we have Jesus wearing the tunica on the cross, is not naked. The Virgin Mary standing near the cross looks very tall compared to other representation and follows the Greek anatomical canon, 1 on 8. Her hands are inside her maphorion and having her left hand on her face. The color of her dress is very dark, burnt sienna. The opening of her veil around her face is open on the Rabulian way, the same way. This manuscript also was in the hands of the Maronites. We have here something written by the Maronite. Okay. Now we have two manuscripts very important. The British Library, British Museum, 7170, 13th century, and Vatican Syriac 559, also 13th century. there is difference, maybe 1 year, 2 years between those two manuscripts. These two manuscripts are very similar and belong to the same atelier or scriptorium between northern Iraq and eastern Turkey, or between Mardin and Mosul today. Even if the Gerfanion see them from the different scriptoria, they should be from one school and to different hands. The Asian or Mongolian aspect is very clearly seen in the faces and anatomical proportions. The Islamic aspect appears in the frames and architectural decoration, and sometimes in the dresses, especially the head covers of turban for men. In these two manuscripts, we have a full illustration of the life of Jesus, or a complete cycle of the liturgical year according to Western Syriac tradition, Syriac Orthodox, Syriac Catholic, Malankara Orthodox Catholic, and Maronite. The marial events are Annunciation, Visitation, Nativity, Our Lady on the Throne, Flight to Egypt, Presentation, Cana wedding, Crucifixion, Descent from the Cross, Burial of Christ, Ascension, Dormition, etc. We start with Annunciation. I put the two manuscripts. Normally, the British Library one, is more complete, and the artist's hand is perfect, more perfect than the other one. The other one should be student or somebody who tried to copy, but not very perfect like the British one. Here in the Annunciation is typical, here we start imitating the Byzantine. The veil is open on her chest, is not closed, no aphrodite, and she is standing always on the temple, in front of the temple, and the same composition. See, the throne behind her is very Islamic and very, Islamic art or arabesque, etc. And the faces are more round, and the bodies are smaller. It means it is the Asian and or Mongolian influence. So the same, here we have details. The Annunciation in both miniatures, we have the same composition, the different decoration. The Virgin is more tilted toward the angel, but the gesture of the hand is similar, and the veil around her face is closed. It's not closed really, it's open. The Malforion has the same color, but the tunica is in different tonality of blue color. And we don't know if they are really the true color, or with time the color change or the fade. The Visitation of Mary we have only in the British Library. In the Vatican we don't have it. The two ladies are hugging each other, but the same composition. Nativity is totally Byzantine type. Totally Byzantine type. We see here the Virgin, she is sitting, laying down near there, and in the same way. The upper one is without a cross. On her veil down she has a cross. Here the Virgin on the throne. Also, it reminds us the Northern Indian or Persian miniatures. Even they are similar style. This type of traditional Begitia sitting on the throne as a queen or empress, holding the child on her left hand and showing him with the right one with the same Asiatic faces, is a very common type. The throne and the background decoration are in different forms, but with the same style of arabesque. The Byzantine influence is clearly observed in the child as position and age. The face of Mary is the same as in the precedent ones. The veil opening and the round face and the star on her forehead are well shown. Here the flight to Egypt also will not, because we don't have enough time, but they are the same type of composition on the body, on the faces, etc. The presentation of the temple, we have two, one horizontal and the other one vertical, but they are the same type, the same composition. Here you have details. In the wedding of Cana, she is here, represented twice. Here. In the crucifixion, very similar in postmanship, in this full composition inspired from Byzantine one. We have Mary standing on the right side, surrounded by other women, and facing in the other side John. Mary putting her left hand on her cheek as a sign of meditation and sorrow. It is the same as in the Nativity. Wait 1 minute, no problem. Okay. Here the descent from the cross. Here all details. The burial of Christ. The Ascension. It is a Rabbulian composition always, which was the prototype for all Ascension in Christianity. But here, the Virgin, instead of position of Oran, opening her hand is are open on her chest only. Dormition of Mary, missing from the Vatican Partner. It's typical Byzantine structure and composition. What is interesting over here is the bed and its Asian decoration and the cover, which reminds us the green Muslim covers on the tombs of the Wali on Muslim Maqam in the Middle East. Okay, there are other Syriac manuscripts as like that. As the manuscript of St. Mark of Syriac in Jerusalem, the Midyat one, the Za'faran, and Mardin one, and others. Most of them have a Marian iconography with a style handling between Byzantine and popular or naive art. I wish to have longer time to develop and study them. Thank you.